The crowd came to watch Alex Eala win. Instead, they watched her reaction, and no one could look away. Coco Gauff walked to the net. The Foro Italico held its breath. The scoreboard read 6-2, 2-0. Alex Eala was in complete control, dominating the world number 4, closing in on the biggest win of her clay season. Then, Gauff extended her hand, not for a handshake, to signal that she couldn't continue. The stadium erupted, not in celebration, but in confusion. And when the cameras zoomed in on Alex Eala's face, what they saw wasn't what anyone expected. No fist pump, no victory dance. Just a 20-year-old walking toward her injured friend, concern written across her face, the weight of an empty victory settling on her shoulders. Rome, Italy, May 2026. The Foro Italico, and a scene that felt hauntingly familiar. Let me set the scene for you. The Italian Open's main stadium was packed. The Philippine flags were everywhere, draped over shoulders, painted on cheeks, waving in synchronized waves that the Foro Italico had never seen before. The chants of "Laban Alex" echoed off the marble statues that line the historic grounds, drowning out everything else. Coco Gauff and Alex Eala stood across the net from each other. The scoreboard read 6-2, 2-0. Eala was in complete control. Just weeks earlier, at Indian Wells, a nearly identical scene had unfolded. Eala had taken the first set 6-2 and was leading 2-0 in the second when Gauff called for the trainer. Then she walked to the net and retired from the match. Now, in Rome, history appeared to be repeating itself. Gauff's left arm, the same arm that had forced her to retire in the California desert, was bothering her again. She had taken a medical timeout earlier in the second set. The physio had worked on her forearm, the trainer had wrapped it, but something was still wrong. Eala, standing at the baseline, watched her friend across the net. She had seen this face before. She had lived this moment before. And she already knew what was coming. The Philippine flags stopped waving. The chants died in the throats of thousands, and the Foro Italico held its breath. Coco Gauff walked toward the net, not slowly, not hesitantly, with the measured steps of someone who had made a difficult decision and was not going to second-guess it. The crowd didn't understand at first. They had seen Eala take the first set. They had seen her break early in the second. They were ready for the upset of the tournament, a victory that would send their hero into the next round of one of the biggest clay court events in the world. Then Gauff extended her hand. The Foro Italico fell into a stunned silence. The chants of Laban Alex stopped mid-syllable. The flags stopped waving. The entire stadium seemed to freeze, unsure of what they had just witnessed. Eala walked forward. The two met at the net. The embrace, not the quick, perfunctory handshake, but a genuine hug, lasted several seconds. "I'm sorry," Gauff said, her voice barely audible in the stunned silence. "It's okay," Eala replied. "Just get better. That's what matters." The exchange was brief. The words were simple, but the meaning was profound. The camera zoomed in on Eala's face as she walked back toward her chair. She wasn't celebrating. She wasn't pumping her fist. She was processing the win, the loss, the strange limbo of advancing in a tournament without finishing the match. The Philippine flags that had been waving moments earlier went still. The chants faded. The crowd didn't know how to react. Some applauded, politely, uncertainly. Others simply sat in silence, watching as Gauff gathered her belongings and walked off the court. The match was over. The crowd was confused. And then Alex Eala grabbed the microphone. The on-court interview began. The interviewer, unsure how to navigate the awkwardness of a victory by retirement, asked the standard questions. How did Eala feel? What did she think about the match? But Eala wasn't interested in the standard answers. First and foremost, she began, her voice steady, but carrying an emotion that the crowd could feel. I want to say that I'm really sad that the match ended this way. The crowd leaned in. The silence deepened. Coco is not just an opponent. She's a friend. She's someone I've looked up to for years. And to see her struggle with injuries, it's not easy. It's not how anyone wants to win. The Philippine flags, which had been waving in celebration moments earlier, now hung still. The chants had faded into a reverent silence. The Foro Italico, known for its passionate and sometimes rowdy crowds, was now so quiet that you could hear the birds outside the stadium. Then Eala turned directly to the camera. Coco, if you're watching, I hope you recover soon. I hope we get to do this again, the right way, full match, both of us healthy, because that's what you deserve. A ripple of applause began, tentative at first, then growing. Not the wild, frenzied cheering of a victory, but something deeper, something closer to respect. But Eala wasn't done. I want to thank all the incredible women who have paved the way, who have advocated for themselves and for other women, she continued. Among them is Coco. So thank you, Coco, for being an amazing competitor and an amazing role model. She paused, then turned to the stands where her mother, Ritza, was sitting. And to my mom, thank you for being the amazing woman that you are, and for helping me become the woman that I am. And that goes to all mothers. The stadium shook with applause, not because Eala had won, because she had reminded everyone that winning isn't everything.
I felt really bad to pull out. You never want to pull out, but more so for her. An hour later, Coco Gauff sat in front of the press corps. Her left arm was wrapped. Her face carried the weight of disappointment, not just at the injury, but at the circumstances. The first question was about the pain. It felt like a firework was going off inside of my arm, and then my whole arm felt like it was on fire, Gauff explained. We're going to figure out what it is, but based off the feeling, I'm being told it's probably something nerve-related. Then came the question that mattered. What did Alex say to you at the net? Gauff's expression softened. No, she just told me I hope I feel better, and things like that, she said. I felt really bad to pull out. You never want to pull out, but more so for her, because she was playing great tennis, and I don't want to take anything away from the way that she was playing. The room was quiet. A world number 4, a Grand Slam champion, was admitting that she would rather lose decisively than rob her opponent of a clean victory. She paused, then added, I'd rather finish the match and lose 6-0. But at that point, I just felt that because the pain was getting worse and I didn't know what was going on, I just felt it was better to stop. Then Gauff did something unexpected. She smiled. But I think she's going to have a great tournament. She's got the game, she's got the heart, and she's got the crowd. That's a dangerous combination.
A DM, a doubles partnership, and a bond that has survived 2 retirements and everything in between. To understand why this moment mattered, why the tennis world hasn't stopped talking about it, you have to go back to where it all began. It started with a direct message. At the 2025 Italian Open, Alex Eala took a chance. She slid into Coco Gauff's Instagram DMs and asked the former doubles world number 1 if she wanted to partner together in Rome. It was a bold move. Eala was barely ranked inside the top 100, while Gauff was a Grand Slam champion. Most players wouldn't have dared. Most wouldn't have received a reply. Gauff said yes. She slid in my DMs and asked me to play, and I was like, sure, why not? Gauff grinned when asked about the partnership. We really didn't know each other, honestly, before Madrid. I said hi to her for the first time in Madrid, Gauff admitted. I figured she would be nice, so I was just hoping she would be, you know? Obviously, she's such a nice person. When there's people finally my age on tour, I'm glad to interact. The partnership flourished. They won back-to-back straight-set matches before falling to eventual champions, Sara Errani and Jasmine Paolini. Sitting together for on-camera interviews, they laughed like old friends. When I first met her, I thought she would be not cold, but like she's a Grand Slam champion. She's accomplished so much, Eala said at the time. But she's really just such a kind person. She's super down to earth, and she's so easy to talk to. It's been a pleasure being her doubles partner. Since then, their friendship has only deepened. They've practiced together on the biggest stages. They've supported each other through tough losses. They've spoken about each other with nothing but respect. In Indian Wells, when Eala advanced after Gauff's retirement, she used her on-court interview to honor her friend on International Women's Day. "Thank you, Coco, for being an amazing competitor and amazing role model," she said. And now, in Rome, the roles had reversed, but the respect hadn't changed.
The match ended in confusion, but within hours, the tennis world had turned it into a lesson in grace. Within hours of the retirement, social media was flooded with reactions. The clips of Eala's speech, of the embrace at the net, of Gauff's emotional press conference were shared millions of times across every platform. "I'm not crying, you're crying," one fan posted, alongside a screenshot of Eala's on-court tribute to Gauff. This is what sportsmanship looks like. Two champions, one court, nothing but respect. Alex Eala just taught the world how to win with grace. Coco Gauff just taught the world how to lose with dignity. Philippine media ran headlines celebrating Eala's heart of gold. American outlets praised Gauff's class act response. The WTA's official social media account reposted the clip of their embrace with the caption, "Respect, always." The Foro Italico had witnessed something rare that day. Not a championship point, not a historic upset, something far more valuable. A reminder that behind the rankings and the rivalries, there are human beings who care about each other. Gauff's injury would keep her out of the French Open. Her team announced she would take sufficient time to recover before preparing for the grass season. The announcement was met with an outpouring of support from fans, from fellow players, and from Eala herself. "Get well soon, my friend," Eala posted on Instagram. "The court isn't the same without you." Gauff replied within minutes. "See you at Wimbledon. Healthy, ready. Both of us." 2 retirements, 2 embraces, 2 post-match speeches that moved the world, and a question that lingers long after the Foro Italico fell silent. Alex Eala advanced to the next round of the Italian Open. The victory was hers. The ranking points were secured. The crowd had witnessed their hero move one step closer to the biggest title of her career. But the moment that everyone will remember, the moment that will define this tournament, wasn't the victory. It was the walk to the net. It was the hug. It was the words that followed. Eala's tribute to Gauff, Gauff's admission that she felt really bad for her friend, the shared understanding that tennis is a sport and friendship is something else entirely. Coco Gauff has now retired from 2 matches against Alex Eala, one at Indian Wells, one at the Italian Open. Both times, her body failed her. Both times, Eala advanced. Both times, the embrace at the net was filled not with rivalry, but with care. "I'd rather finish the match and lose 6-0, Gauff had said. "I really didn't want to win this way," Eala had said. These are not the words of rivals. These are the words of friends. When the tennis historians look back on the 2026 clay season, they will remember Aryna Sabalenka's dominance. They will remember Iga Swiatek's resurgence. They will remember the upsets and the comebacks and the championship points. But they will also remember this moment. 2 young women at the peak of their powers, choosing grace over glory, choosing friendship over rivalry,
choosing to remind the world that tennis is, at its heart, a game played by human beings. The question that remains is simpler than it seems. When Coco Gauff and Alex Eala finally meet again, healthy, whole, able to compete the way they both want to, will the tennis world remember the matches they couldn't finish? Or will it remember the way they treated each other when it mattered most? Drop your thoughts in the comments and subscribe too for more stories that go beyond the scoreline.
Coco Gauff retired from her second-round match against Alex Eala at the Italian Open in Rome, just weeks after retiring against the Filipina at Indian Wells. The scoreboard read 6-2, 2-0 when Gauff walked to the net, her left arm, the same arm that had forced her out of Indian Wells, giving out once again. But the story wasn't the retirement. It was the embrace. It was Eala's on-court speech, thanking Gauff for being an amazing competitor and amazing role model. It was Gauff's confession that she felt really bad to pull out and would rather finish the match and lose 6-0 than rob her friend of a clean victory. Their friendship, which began with a DM from Eala asking Gauff to be her doubles partner at the 2025 Italian Open, has survived 2 retirements, countless practice sessions, and the pressure of competing on the biggest stages. Gauff will miss the French Open to recover from her nerve issue, but she has promised to return at Wimbledon. And when she does, Eala will be waiting, not as a rival, but as a friend.